Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there are real concerns throughout our nation about the violence in our streets. There has been a failed social experiment on the part of the left that has resulted in high levels of crime. Left-wing officials, Mr. Speaker, have defunded and discredited police forces across the country, as well as appointed and elected liberal prosecutors who are not prosecuting. The facts don't lie. Here in Washington, D.C., the city has cut $100 million from the Metro PD's $600 million budget since 2017, and the prosecution rate of arrests in the nation's capital has been around 30% in recent years, whereas a short time ago it was upwards near 70%. So it should be no surprise that violent crime is soaring in Washington, D.C. Carjackings, for instance, were up more than 100% from last year, which was at an all-time high. But Philadelphia, New York, Chicago, they're all the same. Crime has gotten so out of hand in New York City, the governor just deployed 1,000 National Guardsmen to help secure the subway system. But it's not just in the cities. This radical ideology has expanded into the suburban communities, and crime has come along with it. Just this week, I met with members of the Fraternal Order of Police. They shared with me their concerns about the rising anti-police sentiment and detailed the skyrocketing violence against law enforcement officers. Last year, Mr. Speaker, tragically, 378 police officers were shot in the line of duty, 46 of whom were killed. And this was up from 323 officers shot in 2022. Disgraceful. One piece of legislation to address these issues is my Holding Prosecutors Accountability Act, which has been endorsed by the National Police Association. It would force ideological prosecutors to do their jobs by mandating they prosecute at least 67% of violent crimes. If they don't, their jurisdiction will lose access to federal DOJ grant funding. It would also require prosecutors' officers to serve highly populated jurisdictions and publish their prosecution rate data. Americans deserve to know if their elected prosecutor is deliberately releasing violent criminals back onto the streets. And, Mr. Speaker, this ideological social experiment starts at the top. Joe Biden and Vice President Harris have not shown support for law enforcement. It's that simple. Just look at their criticism of the border agents that were on horseback, who they accused of whipping migrants, despite knowing that that was categorically false. These border agents were doing their jobs. There was no whipping that took place. And when the truth finally came out, there was no apology from the White House. And when Vice President Harris had the opportunity to disavow the defund the police movement during an interview on The View, she refused to answer, showing an utter lack of support for the brave men and women who protect and serve our communities. This is, Mr. Speaker, a stark contrast from the former president, who would speak strongly in favor of police officers and backing the blue. President Trump sent a clear pro-law enforcement message, but now, under President Biden, we're dealing with rampant smash-and-grab situations, crimes, migrant crime due to our open borders, out-of-control violence in our streets, and gangs riding around on dirt bikes, victimizing innocent citizens and small businesses. We have a serious issue before us that has been created over the last 3 years, and as a society and as elected officials, we need to come together to correct course, or the American people must elect those that will make national security and public safety job one.